Hey, it's me, and I just wanted to cover a couple of things about drying dogs a little bit faster. Curly coats can be dried 100% with an HV dryer if you know how. And one of the things I do to speed up the process is to apply, let me start off with this. First of all, we towel dry incredibly well. I mean, she's pretty dry. And then I take a brush, a slicker brush, and brush the coat up. That allows the hair to separate a little bit and will allow air to get down in it a little bit more so it can help dry some more. Sometimes you have to brush down before you can brush up if you've got any tangles or anything. She's overgrown as heck. First time I've ever groomed her, so I don't really know exactly what she's going to be like. But after I run her brush real quick through just to open up the hair, just like that, doesn't have to take much, just real quick. It helps separate the hairs, like I said, open them up so they're not clumped together. Starts the straightening process a little bit too, I think. Then, I'm not at my station, so nothing is where it belongs. Let me step right over here and grab some cotton balls. Her buddy had cotton balls in his ears already, and I didn't have to do it. So, anyway, protection for her, cotton balls in the ears. Especially dogs that I don't know get this. Dogs that are older, dogs that are seizure prone, dogs that are poodle mixes and older, they all get cotton. Heck, if I dry a dog, it pretty much always gets cotton in his ears. All right, sorry about that. So now she's got cotton in her ears. I have on double hearing protection. I have on noise canceling headsets underneath that are connected to my TV, which is over here on the wall. Earmuffs from a gun range, so I won't hear the dryer at all. And then I have my breathing protection, which is an what's it called? An RZ mask, which are actually really cool, and we'll talk about it a little bit on another video, but they have a replaceable filter inside and vents, so you can actually change them out and get more use out of them. I'm going to spray her with the Hydra Ultra Dematting and Finishing Spray. I usually use Stasco, but it's in the other room, so today it's Hydra. Usually I use this just if the dog needs to be dematted in any way, shape, or form, or if it's like a Shih Tzu that I might need some added conditioning on, that the Stasco I just might not feel is enough, even though 90% of the time it's Stasco. And then again, the trick here is to brush it in. I do the same thing with Stasco. I either brush it in or rub it in with my hands. And it doesn't have to be a really good brush out, it just has to be a real quick brush out. And the dryer that I'm using is a small dryer off of Amazon. I think I paid $80 for it, maybe. I don't even think it was that much. Has heat that's variable speed and, it has heat and it is variable speed. All right, she's been brushed out. We're gonna start, the reason to do that is it helps thoroughly distribute the product into the coat so that it'll dry it in better. Instead of just sitting in one place, it's all over the coat now. All right. We're gonna start off with a flat nozzle, if I can hold on to it, because I like these for separating coat and getting hair separated at the skin. Because I don't know her as well, that was smart. I almost always use a rear loop, but on ones I don't know, I definitely am, just to make sure she can stay on the table and will continue to stand up. I know, silly girl, I'm trying, I'm sorry. There we go. There we are. All right. Mask on. Ready to go. And then what I do is I will take a little bit of this, just a light mist, before I comb through her a final time. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but I use the flat nozzle to just blast most of the water out. Take the nozzle off and then go in kind of a circular pattern down at the skin. But we always go, again, from foot to hip, hip to shoulder, foot to hip, everything forward with the exception of tails and ears, which I always do down. That's as much to prevent matting, so that you don't have to detangle as anything else. If the dog is significantly shorter in one location, like if the back is really short and the legs are longer, I tend to dry the back first because it's going to dry on its own if you don't. If the dog is similar in length all over like she is, it doesn't really matter so much. But like if the dog is in a lamb cut or a town and country and the back is half the length of the legs, then obviously you're going to dry the short part first. When I was taught to groom, you always groomed the shortest part of the body, and then the head, and then the ears. I don't really understand that, because the head and ears, to me, usually have more hair on them than the rest of the body. And the dogs tend to fight that a little more too. So I always save that for last. Allowing it to air dry more before you actually get to it, and having the ambient air bouncing off the dog from the rest of the body, is going to allow that to dry quicker, and the dog is usually more comfortable. I don't know if you noticed, but about halfway through the drying with the nozzle on, I turned it down variably. I used the variable speed to turn it down. She wasn't happy. She wasn't fighting me per se, but you could tell by her body language and the way she was just moving around. She wasn't happy with the force of the dryer that was putting on her body, so I turned it down. I don't know much about this dog. Like I said, this is the first time we have groomed her. I don't know where she's been going, but obviously, because she is older, I'm not going to push it either. Now, her hair is actually incredibly straight, and she does have some weird undercoat. I think she might be a Shih Tzu. I know she's not all poodle. But by putting in just a little bit more of the spray, it allows the brush and comb to sort of glide through the hair a little bit easier. When I get to that spot like that where it's grabbing some, I'll put a little bit more. I try to brush out coats while the dog is warm. The reason for that is it will set the curl. You have to set the curl. You can do that with a stand dryer if you have one, or a hand dryer on a dryer holder or what have you while you're brushing at the same time you're drying. But that's rough on your body. A lot of dogs will fight you doing that, especially if they're not used to it. And I'd rather let the dryer do the work for me. When I do brush, again, I try to do it while she's warm because I'm trying to get all the mats out first and everything else. And I am not answering my phone because we are not open today. At any rate, I try to get all the mats out while they're wet and before we dry them. Whatever spray you use, Stasco, Hydra, Best Shot, La Pooch, Marshmallow, I know I'm missing some, Crown Royal. I've drawn blanks on the rest of it, but at any rate, whatever you use, if you can work it into the coat while they're wet, you'll actually get a better absorption too, because you're about to open up that hair cuticle with the heat from the dryer. I actually think she looks pretty doggone good. Now, her face is still ever so slightly damp, and I'm not going to force dry her face. So what I'm going to do, because I have to groom her buddy that I dried in the previous video, is simply sit her under, actually I'm not even going to sit her under a fan. I'm just going to sit her out front in a kennel while I groom him, and then I'm going to call their mother to come get them. But it's a pretty good job, if I do say so myself. It's less than 15 minutes. And believe me, it could have been faster had I been using a different dryer, but less than 15 minutes from wet to dry. I could actually groom her right now without putting her up, and her face would be dry by the time I got to it. I'm going to groom her on camera too, so y'all are going to get a treat. But anyway, there you go. That's my princess girl. She's super cute. Can't wait to work on her. Okay. You might be able to hear her buddy barking in the back, but he's mad because I've got her, so there's not much I can do about that. But at any rate, this is the little girl that we dried a little bit ago. And as you can see, she still looks pretty doggone good. I mean, this is a weird textured coat, which is one reason why I wanted to work on her on the camera. It's got an undercoat to it, which is always tricky when you're trying to do any kind of clipper snap-on comb work or anything like that. And the reason that that's always difficult to do is because it literally, the snap-on combs are going to cut the wire, which is this part, away and leave you with just the undercoat, similar to a Pomeranian's coat. And we all know that if you're cutting that and you don't go low enough, it can be an issue. So this is a challenging coat to work with. I love working on coats like this. Like I said, I'm pretty sure she's a Shih Tzu, not a Shih Tzu, but who knows? Doesn't matter. She needs a haircut and she's cute as a button. You're cute, princess? Princess. Oh, I got suckers. She's very sweet. This is like the second time she's boarded with us, but it's the first time I've ever gotten to groom her, and I'm super excited. Okay, and again, I'm going to use the back. I have a microphone right here, so hopefully you'll be able to hear me better than you can. Otherwise, I'll try to tuck my shirt under so it doesn't hit the mic. Anyway, I'm using the same equipment on her that I used on her buddy that she lives with, so it's not as critical to sanitize, even though if it's something that came into contact with poop or pee, I definitely would. So we're going to scoop pads real quick. And I'm not actually scooping pads, I'm sort of skimming the bottom. I'll show you. It gets so hard to do this on camera. Let me see if I can move this camera over here. Might be easier from over here anyway. Let's try this and see what happens. Let's see. Ooh, interesting shots here. So we're going to, first of all, her tail is getting in the way. So I'm going to take a clip and just put it around the tail, because then at least it's not going to be as in my way as it would be otherwise. Turn this way from it. I'm going to pick up the leg, and I literally just skim across the top. I don't go down deep in. Going down deep in, as we've discussed before, can trigger things like yeast and bacteria growing, because you may accidentally scrape or at least open them up, and the hair does add some protection. Here in South Georgia, we're incredibly humid, and we see tons of yeast infections. So anyway. There's that. And then for the belly, it's going to be a lot easier to do with this tied up anyway. Legs slightly out to the side, but still in a position that's comfortable for the dog. And I want to say, I got yelled at on one of my previous videos for lifting a dog's leg out to the side. Well, if you can tell me how to shave their bellies without doing it, I'd be glad to know. When you do it, you come up and at an angle that is comfortable for the pet. I'm shifting it. I'm not yanking it. I'm not lifting it high. I'm shifting it very carefully so that it is comfortable. If it gave them any trouble, I'd stop. But anyway, rectum. Again, I never touch it. I skim it. I usually go a ½ inch on either side and a little bit up the back of the tail, the base of the tail. Just like that. And then I'm done with that blade, because I just did a rectum. So that blade now goes in here. I just hung my phone back up, so it's possible the phone's going to ring, but we shall see. I'm going to use a little tiny clipper right in the corners of her eyes, because she has some tear staining. And then just literally I'm skimming right across in between the eyes. You can't see what I'm doing. Turn this way, baby. Anyway, just right across there, I just skimmed it. I didn't take it off, I just skimmed it. And just like on the other one, I'm going to take this little clipper and get the hair out of her ears. And just, I'm not pulling, I'm just looking to see if anything's ready. That's it. You can see all of this. I don't know who groomed her last time, but they stopped the face and line here. We're going to go back. It's not my line, and it's not a line that I actually think is flattering on the dog. So we're going to work on it. I saw it. Alright. Ears done. But as you can see, if you look here, and it's literally like all they took off was right here. They didn't take anything here, so they didn't give her a neck. We're going to completely change the way this dog looks by getting rid of all of that. She's going to look a little more classy and a little more elegant. And what's really funny is that on this side they did. They did a little bit, the lines are not the same. I don't know if you can see it, but the lines are so totally not the same. This one is scooped out much more than this one. It's left really full. And it happens to all of us. It really does. It happens to all of us. So when you're doing a dog, you want to make sure that you can get your symmetry as much as possible. Okay. And I have the other Bravura here. Because I don't know her and I don't know if she razor burns or not, we're going to use a 9 setting wig. And again, I'm going to set my line corner of eye to corner of the ear, down, corner of eye to corner of ear, take off that hair, and then I draw a line from the bottom of the ear to just below the Adam's apple. So from the ear to just below the Adam's apple on either side. And again, because I don't know if she'll razor burn, I'm doing it with. Now they like her face to have hair on it here. And I believe that is because it has razor burned in the past. But it's cute, so we're going to leave it. They did ask me to follow her current pattern, but just to make her look better, because they knew something was off, but they didn't know what it was. So, much nicer. We have a nice clean neckline now. Time to get to work on the body. Just going to pop this blade off of that. This is the one I just used on her neck. I'm going to pop it off and put, we're going to use the same one we used on him, which is the peach. 10, 12, 13, whatever you'd like to call it. I'm going to start right in here. And I am going to try to leave a little bit of a crest on her. Not a lot, but a little bit so we can leave a little more style. And what I'm going to do is, as I come down the sides, I'm going to come down the side and into the shoulder, set my shoulder. I'm going to come right to where the head meets the body and stop my lines. I'm going to move the camera again. There we go. Let's see if you can see better now what I'm doing. Again, right to where the shoulders are, right where the neck meets, right where the neck meets the body. So the shoulder blades are literally right where my fingers are, and that's where I'm going to start a mild crest on her. It's going to be short, but it's going to allow me to blend her head in better. Of course, a full crest would be set back further, but most owners cannot handle that hair that's involved in doing that. going to blend down into the legs, which I'm going to take shorter, and I'm going to get these big ridges, hoops off as I come down. Looks better already. And I float off. Hands are weak. Float off down into the leg rather than come just stopping. I like to float my lines off. Actually, her coat's working well. She was bathed out with the Hydra Moist shampoo, and then I followed it up with the Hydra spray. No conditioner, because I was afraid that if I did, it would be too soft. I think I was correct on that. No, that's her mother. Hang on 1 second for me. I cut above. May I help you? I'm good. How are you? Okay, I'm actually grooming Princess right now. If you can give me till right around 2 o'clock, I'll have them both ready for you. Thank you so much. We'll see you in just a little bit. What day did they get here again? That's what I thought. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 nights, 45. It's 45 for boarding, and then each one of them is 45. So I can't do that math in my head. 135, I think, is what that comes out to. Yeah, I'm really lousy with math, but I think that's it. If I had the computer in front of me, I could tell you. But yeah, that's what it is. So each one is 45 for grooming and then $45 for boarding. You're welcome. All right, I'll see y'all in just a little bit. Thank you. Generally speaking, these dogs would be $50 instead of $45 for haircuts, but because they were boarding, they give us slight discount. And yes, my boarding fees are low, but I only keep good dogs and I only keep client dogs, so it's okay with me. So now, turn this way, baby. It is currently 20 minutes after 1, by the way, and I know she's going to be done long before 2 o'clock. But I did that just to give me a chance to get all of their boarding stuff gathered up too. Because they brought everything but the kitchen sink, which is fine. I just got to find it all. They have toys and blankets and a bed and bowls, and I don't need all of it, but I have to find it all now. Anyway. Again, if you'll notice, what I'm doing is I'm sort of sketching with my clipper as I come along. And then when I'm doing after I do it the first time, I'll come back and do long sweeping strokes. But the little sketching is actually to prevent you from getting lines. And it just, I don't know, it's a technique that Curtis Hamby was teaching for a while. I don't know if he still is or not, but it does work for utilizing it with a back system. Okay. Now, let's brush the hair up here. With hair of this type, I do a little bit of back brushing, but not a whole lot. I will do it one time and then I'm done. I won't do it again on that part of the dog. It's a waste of time. With hair of her type, I feel the need to because of the undercoat. You need to pull it up and make sure it's smooth. Turn this one. Good job. Let's go this one. Come on, baby. There's no reason to use a neck loop on her if she's going to behave this well. So I have it off to make it easier for me to turn her for you to be able to see. Now, because I want to tighten up her neckline, I'm going to drop down a comb size to the blue. And right along the neckline, where it blends into the body, I'm going to take that just a smidge shorter and tighter. Just right in there. times you can do that with a scissor, but because I'm wanting to do this quickly and easily and show you how to do this, we're going to do it this way. Again, just right from the ear down into the shoulder and then float off. I'm now going to take the same shorter comb and go underneath her to shorten her up and tighten her up. One reason I do that is for cleanliness, because it keeps it off the ground. Another reason I'm doing it is she's a little bit on the short-legged side. And while I don't do an awful lot of corrective grooming on pets, I will lengthen legs. It just makes the dog look better overall. And by taking this shorter, you actually can add quite a bit of leg length to the dog. Now she is out at the elbow a little bit, but I'll show you how to fix that too. A little bit. You can't do a whole lot to it. But I'm going to do the same thing to her rear end that I did to Versace's. I'm going to cut a little bit of angulation in. Not a whole lot, because it's leg grooming, just a little bit. Plus her butt hair tends to grow really, really big and poofy, so we're going to fix that by doing that. Okay. Those now need to go under the alcohol, because I do believe I'm done with them. And I'm going to go, again, same haircut we did on him, to the yellow comb. One longer than the body. And I'm going to shape it. Now on her, I'm not doing her feet first. And one of the reasons I'm not is because she is so tight from the knee down that I want to leave this anyway. And right now I'm not really sure what it's going to look like, so I'm going to leave the feet and get them last. You know, see if I'm coming straight down this way, I'm not actually following the leg, and again, I'm using it to draw my line. John Stasco one time said that if you use your snap-on comb to draw a line where you want it to go, where you want your line to be, that is your most effective use of a guard comb or a snap-on comb, and I actually agree with them. You actually can draw your shape out. It doesn't have to touch the skin. It doesn't have to follow the contour of the body. You draw pretending it's a pencil where you want your line to be, and it will cut off everything after that line. It was the easiest way for me to figure out what I needed to do in order to make them work better for me. Come on, baby. And again, sometimes I touch the skin and sometimes I don't, because sometimes you want to leave filled hair. I'm literally allowing them to act like a pencil and just draw my lines where I want them to be. So easy to do. Hold it up and look and see if there's anything I need to fix, anything I've missed. I'm not going to hurt to go down it one more time just because. Using my semi-comb because I just find it gives better lift to this type of coat than a regular wider tooth comb does. Need you to turn this way? Come on, baby. This coat is actually beautiful when it's covered. I've never actually seen her groomed, but every time I've seen her, she's been really curly and really kind of scraggly looking, so I was worried that it was going to be a harder coat to deal with, but it's actually working pretty well. And part of that could be the shampoo and conditioner spray that was used. Part of it could just be that it's not as hard to work with as I thought it was going to be. See, I'm pulling off actually quite a bit of hair there because she does have so much undercoat. Lifting it allows it to be picked up a little bit more. All right, now I'm going to go back and scissor it, but that's not bad looking actually. Now for this area up here, I'm going to blend it using my comb. I'm going to pull her head down and just come straight up into the back of her head. Again, I'm not touching the skin. If I was, we'd have divots. I am literally just coming straight up into the back of her head. On the side, I have it perpendicular to the table. Come straight up and into her head. I can actually set the ear lines this way. Again, straight up and over. That's going to set, watch what happens. That's going to set a perfect blend down and in. So that, and I'm not quite ready to do this yet, but so that this is really all. Curve scissors backwards, down into it. And that's really about all you have to do to blend that head into that neck. And it's that simple. It was that simple. And then, instead of having a hard defined line here like she did have, it's a nice smooth body down. Okay. Now, I'm not going to use a snap-on comb on her head because I just think I don't need to for this head and this coat type to make it work well. Plus, I really want to leave it a little on the longer side. So, nice and tight through there. I'm using a pair of 8-inch curves. I think they're 8-inch. Yep, they're 8-inch. So I'm getting the right curve that I want, but these are also a beautiful curve. I love the bend on these. They're fabulous. So, right in between the eyes a little bit. They're driving me crazy right now. Clean up my airline. Clean it up where I've set my head. Or as one of the girls who works in here says, set line. So the head is now set over the ear and over the eye. And she has just a little bit of a visor, for lack of a better way to put it. Shelf there, a little bit of a ledge. Everybody uses a different terminology for it. Some people call it a bubble, some people call it a ledge, some people call it a shelf. I call it all of the above, just depending on my mood that day. And sometimes who I'm talking to, depending on what they're used to saying. I have learned that different groomers call everything something different, so when you learn to communicate in a different language than you're used to, it helps sometimes. And just right under here, if you'll notice my shears are at an angle again, I'm blending it down and in so that the clipper work is nice and tight, and then it flows down into the neck like it grew that way. Everything is blended. Every line should be blended. Unless you're doing some of the fancier patterns from the 40s and 50s, for the most part, in my world, everything should blend. Nothing should be sharp and blunt. Separations, yes, like here along the head. But basically everything else should blend. Stop. When I'm doing under here, I want it to blend from the short shaved spot down into the neck itself. I don't want to have a bushy neck. To me, it just looks sloppy. And I see it all the time on other people's work when they come in here with it, and I'm like, that's not the way I do things. Is that what you want? And usually it's one of the things that they're not happy with when they come seeking a new groomer. They know something's not right, but they don't quite know what it is, and it can be something as simple as a sloppy blend line that sends them looking for somebody new. Now, one advantage for me being at this table is I can use the tabletop over there, Liz's table, as a backdrop for the white hair. And again, my walls are cream, and she happens to have a purple smock hanging on the wall. So I'm using all of the above to get her head right. I don't like this right here. There we go, that's better. She has a boxy head and I'm trying to round it. She came in, it was very square, very boxed off, and I'm trying to round it, and that can be tricky without taking off a whole lot of length. And I don't want to take off length, I want to take off sharp corners. So she also has this blade case hanging on the wall, which allows me to see a little bit better. All right, let me see. There we go. Good job. No. Okay, and then really short here. Excuse me, princess, come back here. I don't like to do mustaches or even scissored faces until last on the head, because sometimes you need to hold on to them. And if you cut the hair off, there's nothing to hold on to. Just like there, I needed to be able to hold on and I can't. There is no hair in here, it's like broken off. It's really weird. So, having to be a little more careful there with shape. And these are my kimchi 5 stars, and they are the perfect size for faces. For rounding that off, just like that. And coming back up and in. And then, because she has all of this hair here, which is actually in the way of a really pretty clean face, I'm just going to scissor it off. You cannot, I'm using a curved shear backwards to do it until I got to that point. Or you can also use a thinning shear or a blender. I wouldn't use a chunker in there, but a thinning shear or a blender would work great. And voila, a really cute little clean face. Not clean face as in poodle clean, but clean as in hair won't get in, or hair won't get in the food and all that. It'll keep it drier too from the water bowl. Okay, baby. This is not really my style of grooming, but this is what she came in with and we're gonna make it work. Not a big fan of mustaches. Not really sure why, I just have never been a big fan of mustaches. And that said, my poodles both have teddy faces, so. And I think it's different when it's a teddy bear face than when it's a mustache. Now I'm just shaping my feet in order to get a better idea of where I need to go with legs. Don't do it. No. And I'm a big proponent of trying to use the right size shear for the job. I've had people in here that use 8 and 10-inch shears for everything, including edging Yorkie ears and doing mustaches, and it scares the bejesus out of me. Because all it takes is for the dog to flinch or to move suddenly, or somebody to come in the door and you have a sliced ear. One person fairly recently actually cut 3 dogs in a week's time. And part of it was because they would not listen to me about using the correct size shear for the job. It just diminishes the risk that a cut's going to happen if you do that. All right, let me shape the back of her legs a little bit. There's a little more trimming work to be done on her than there was on Versace. Looking at the way she stands, I would bet money that she is actually Shih Tzu. She's got that, what we would call bulldog front. Move that so they don't fall, because that almost happened. They almost fell off the table again. That would just be really bad. So, and now because I have put my loop extender and my loops on the table, they're going to have to be washed before they can be used. They're not even going to be able to just go under the ultraviolet. They're going to have to go in the washer because they're going to have hair all over them. My stupid fault for doing that. Sometimes you can simply take them and put them in the ultraviolet machine that I have to disinfect them. But since they're gonna have hair potentially all over them at this point, they'll have to be washed. Just a little safety feature. Sanitation feature. I'm working on the safety and sanitation course today. It's almost done. And that's one of the things that keeps getting brought up, is that if you contaminate something, you have to clean it up. And to try to minimize the contamination. And what did I do? I just maximized it. The groomer topper loop adjuster very seldom comes into contact with the dog because we keep it tucked up. So we do use it all day before we change out, unless the dog has suspect skin. However, laying it on the table with the dog's hair is really pretty stupid on my part. Now, what I was talking about earlier about her being out at the elbow, I'll show you now that we've got a little bit better idea of what we're doing. She cocks out and her elbows literally shift forward. They like come this way. So you're gonna have a point here, right in here usually. Now she's not standing that way right now. But if you can get them to stand naturally, then you take your scissor and you just go straight down towards the table. And I am using a curved shear, not a straight, just because it's my preference. But you come straight down and give them a parallel leg. Because if you don't, she's going to look like a bulldog. She's going to look like this from the front. And that's actually where you're going to see it the most from, I think, is from the front. And see, we actually have straight legs currently. But not long ago, she was completely cocked out. And I don't even know if I can make her do it right now because I've actually groomed that pretty well. It's another thing, the little bit of out at the elbows, I don't like to call it fiddle front, but anyway, out in the elbow you can fix just by coming straight down towards the table and drawing a straight line from the widest point. If you were to shave this dog, it would be down like that and then down. But because I've left hair to fill, she looks really, really cute. Can hide some minor flaws, really simple. Like I said, add a little bit of leg, hide that right there. But I'm not a huge fault fixer. I know some people fix every fault they can find. I'm just not going to do that on a pet dog. The owners don't notice it, and the owners don't really want to pay the time it takes, in my area anyway, to do it. But little things like that just make them cuter. And since I can do it on video, I'm going to. All right. It has been 32.5 minutes. So she took a little bit longer than Versace, but I was also on the phone briefly. So, voila. I'll fix that right there. But essentially, she's done. Now I can't find it again. There it is, right in there. Okay. There's that. Take her tail down now. Not bad for a 30-minute haircut. Princess, turn around, babe. I know. Turn around. Let's see. There's my girl. Oh, aren't you so sweet? But there you have it. If you add in the 12 or so minutes it took to dry her, you're looking at 45 to 50 minutes tops. Because the bath didn't take long. She wasn't that dirty, and she got a bath with my bathing system, so under an hour, start to finish. Put your foot back. There we go. There she is. Yay!